The Battle of Waterloo. Now, this is where it actually starts getting interesting. This is the Battle of Waterloo, where everybody is fighting for themselves, and the big major players are Napoleon of France. Stats: fought 18 battles, lost 8, won 10. Nationality: French. Player number 2, the Duke of Wellington. Stats: fought 30 battles, lost 0, won 30. And these two big giants will be the people who play out this whole role. Now, the odds are actually looking good for him. This guy got the people's support, has 58,000 men, a really good IQ, military IQ is off the charts, and the good thing about his army, they're almost entirely veterans, all loyal to him, and they all speak French. The Duke of Wellington's army, 57,000 men, around the same as Napoleon's. The army itself, less than 50% of them are actually British. The rest are a bunch of Germans, Swedes, and other nationalities. They all don't speak English. There are, of course, communication errors. He has far less firepower. His IQ is good. His military IQ is also off the charts. But the good thing is, this guy's got big brain. And he's not old. Unlike this guy. And despite all these good stuff, they've actually never ever met each other in battle. But that was about to change. The Battle of Waterloo was basically Napoleon versus Wellington. Let's get this started with. Now, Napoleon has just returned from France. Elba. And he's got the support of the French. What he doesn't have the support of is the rest of Europe. So his plan is to be able to cut them all out. And what are the Allies' plan? Well, their plan is to be like, you know what, whatever. We need to deal with Napoleon for Stanley dispute. And they created something called the Seventh Coalition, because this was the seventh time they actually attempted as a team. And the other 6 times, they all been warmed up. And they include Prussia of the German Empire from 1871 to 1918. The UK, yay! The only one that's completely immune from France. Almost. Sweden, the former ally of France, but then they're like, you know what, screw this, I'm a betray ya. Interesting enough, this leader is one of Napoleon's old marshals. And Russia, big bad boy Russia. The biggest mistake in Napoleon. Russia was the one who defeated Napoleon the first ever time, at least majorly. And no, not the Russian army, just Russia itself. Its nature of cold, big blizzards, uneven terrain, and etc. Also accounting the fact that Napoleon's troops actually went all this way. They had to march all the way back here, and in the meantime, almost a bunch of them were destroyed. And so, now the weaknesses. Napoleon's army was devastated. He was weakened, and now he just came back with a good army, but there's still a little low morale. Wellington's army's cons, well, they're not all British. However, the fight was on. Now, as I already mentioned, these guys, this guy, so basically literally all of Europe was against France, which is actually kind of bad too. It's like Technoblade, playing Bed Wars, except he's solo, in 4v4v4. And everyone else but him has 2 beds. Sink that in for now. Let that sink in. Got it? Great. So yeah, you can see how bad France will be against this. But they've got a pretty clever strategy. Now, these 2 guys up in the north here, they're pretty much the closest one. And they're also one of the weakest ones here. Except for this guy. This guy's a pretty big thorn in like France's butt. So this goes ahead. And their armies are here and here. And Napoleon's army, maybe I should reverse colors. Their armies are here and here. And Napoleon's army is right here. Well, this is the best way he could go ahead and do it. He decided that he'd go and take this, then go and take this. And so what happened? And so he went ahead and went here. And he was able to defeat the Prussians pretty badly. He ordered his general to keep chasing the Prussians so that he didn't have to worry about them, and he went ahead and tried to go ahead and attack Britain. Meanwhile, his general was being blocked up by a Prussian force. But this was a decoy. The main Prussian force was going ahead to go aid Britain. Meanwhile, Napoleon and Wellington's ragtag crew of soldiers, most of those soldiers for Wellington, this was their first conflict, were having a really big battle. Wellington had absolutely no chance. Well, he did have a little chance, but he had a lower chance than Napoleon did. So he turned 3 farmhouses into forts. And the French, no matter how hard they went through, they were always obliterated. One Frenchman with a hatchet chopped down the gate that actually let them go through into the fort, and the whole army went in. Then the British closed the outer gate, forced the French in this area right here, and closed the gate, which basically enclosed all of this. At least they tried to, and which injured a lot of French soldiers. And with that, they were able to repel the attack. Eventually, this fort was taken by the French, and it became French territory. And the next one was probably the biggest blunder in Napoleon's army. One of his generals actually thought that the British were retreating, at least that's what he saw. And so he ordered a charge. But the British weren't actually planning to flee. Instead, they went into defensive squares, took out their muskets, and started firing at Frenchmen as they charged. Wave after wave they held, and then the Frenchmen just gave up. And finally, Napoleon couldn't stop Wellington, as he was literally on top of a hill shooting down on his army. And then he had to defeat Wellington before the main Prussian force arrived. And so he had to do one last charge. Napoleon did one last charge to try to defeat Wellington, and it failed. Then the Prussians joined in the fun, and they went ahead and ultimately destroyed Napoleon. Zap! Zap! The War of the Seventh Coalition was won by the Seventh Coalition. Duke Wellington, now having played 31 battles, won all 31 battles. Napoleon was escorted by the British to be sent to St. Helena, which is in the right smack dab middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But unlike Elba, there was far chance from escape. British ships circled the island twice, and they decided they just wanted to make sure that this happened. In 1821, Napoleon died of stomach cancer. He spent the rest of his days on St. Helena writing his journals, memoirs, and the heroes that he admired. There's one thing that we can't deny about Napoleon Bonaparte, though. He had a great legacy. He's probably the #1 conqueror in the world. He was definitely the master of Europe. And I, for one, think this guy's the best guy in the world. Also, even if he did not lose the Waterloo campaign, and he did retain his power, there was one battle that he would definitely lose no matter what. His cancer battle. He would die inevitably of stomach cancer, and if he died around 1821, his throne would be passed down to his son, Napoleon II, who would be, at the time, just 11 years old. Not fit for ruling. My guess would be that an 8th coalition would happen, they'd all storm into France, a new revolution would happen, and killing Louis XVIII, he'd probably just get back his power. One more thing, the only reason why I'm actually doing all this, but no matter what, he would lose. And that's it. Now hopefully you guys actually enjoyed this Waterloo episode. I actually hope to see you guys soon in the next episode of Hunter and Sean. I'll see you guys soon. Until next time, Schnan out. Peace. Average height for the time.